welcome to another edition of Wildcat Weekly with head coach Sean Miller. Cats are home this week. They've got the Oregon schools in town. Beavers on Thursday night at 6, Ducks on Saturday night at 7. Before we get to those ball games, Coach, great wins in the Bay Area this past weekend. And Zeke Najee had a great weekend. He's Pac-12 Freshman of the Week, 42 points, 16 rebounds. And maybe you just talk about not just the statistics, but how he handled the two teams defending him.
He did a very, very good job. Both teams, Cal and Stanford, elected to double team him and trap. In particular, Stanford's way of post-trapping is very good. They create a lot of turnovers, and they do it to every team. So they're very seasoned and experienced and being good at it. But just watching Zeke's patience, his ability to shoot the ball away from the basket, our team's ability to get him the ball in scoring position, which led to a lot of free throw attempts. You can get fouled a lot, Brian, but it's nice when that player goes to the free throw line and shoots a good percentage. Zeke's really settled in as a free throw shooter, and that he scores from the free throw line because he shoots such a great percentage. And then, mixing in his offensive rebounding, thought he also had some timely big baskets in both games. And the other part of it is his rebounding numbers and his defense. And in both games, he did a really good job. He deserved the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week. I'm not attuned to who else played well as freshmen, but I'd have a hard time believing that any freshman this past week could do what Zeke did for our team.
If you were putting together an instructional video on how to win on the road, could you use the two games this weekend for a lot of the little things that your team did to win?
For sure. And, on the road, you can't count on your offense. Not that you can count on your offense in any game, but are you able to overcome foul trouble? Are you able to overcome runs by the other team? And when the opposing crowd takes over the arena, and being able to concentrate and come out of timeouts in that situation. The game pressure down the home stretch, are you able to execute even though you're on somebody else's court? There's so many factors, but we were able to overcome foul trouble. I thought our team defense in both games was very good. We out-rebounded Stanford by 14 rebounds, which was one of our best efforts all season long. And it's just great to see our team be able to do a few things that maybe earlier in the year I would have pointed towards a reason that we weren't able to be successful.
All right. You got Oregon State in town on Thursday. Beavers beat the Wildcats first time around up in Corvallis. They had a big second half. They were able to drive the ball and get some easy two-point shots, which they made most of them. If they come at you with the same strategy, how has your team improved now from that game, hopefully now to Thursday night?
Well, I do believe that we're a different team, first of all. Stone Gettings' role in the first time that we played Oregon State, he was really just finding his way. If you remember, he missed the entire month of December, and that would have been his third game back after missing 4 weeks. So the role he had then and the role he has now is different. I think the makeup of our team is very, very different. We're an improved defensive team. That doesn't mean anything, though, when you have to defend a player like Trace Tinkle. He's not only one of the Pac-12's best players, but he's just so experienced. He tries to punish smaller players who guard him close to the basket. He drives and takes advantage of his three-point shooting when he plays against bigger guys. Ethan Thompson is a very, very good player at the point guard position and different in that he can score, and he too is big and strong, 6'4". The role players really hurt us in the last game as well. So, for us, we just have to be locked in. We've learned our lesson from the first game. We have an opportunity to prepare, and we have to be ready. Oregon State hurts you shooting two-point shots and drives, and they really hurt you in terms of getting to the foul line.
You always rotate your defensive matchups, but with a guy like Tinkle, and you mentioned earlier this week how valuable Dylan Smith is because he can guard bigger guys and he can guard guys his size or smaller, etc. So, do you go into a game like this against Oregon State where you're going to literally throw 3 or 4 guys at Tinkle defensively?
We will, and that's usually what we do every game because of our rotation and subbing. And you want to use that to your advantage, Brian, because you don't ever want it to fall on one player. It's 5-on-5. It's so much of a team defense, and a lot of times when we do a good job on a top scorer, yes, the player that's covering him in our man-to-man, he has to do a good job, but most of the time it's a function of the other guys as well, that just, the team defense was in place. And that's what we did this past week, and hopefully we can build on it.
All right, Wildcats and Beavers on Thursday night at 6. Don't forget Saturday's game against Oregon will tip at 7, and we'll see you next time on Wildcat Weekly.